football. Now he's going to be out there for hiring as an offense coordinator somewhere else, or maybe a head coach, who knows. But the problem was the drop of the total offensive stats. 13th in 2017, which made him a household name and great when it came to working with Stafford, to 24th this year. Good luck on your future endeavors. Antonio Brown, apparently, not only was he injured, but he had he was just skipping practice, apparently, before the final game of the year against the Bengals, even though they beat the Bengals 16-13. There's also a lot of disunity in the organization. The fact that he doesn't get a lot of targets. The fact that Juju Smith-Schuster was named the MVP. He felt it was a negative feeling for him. He didn't take it too kindly. And now there are reports out there that he wants to be traded. Antonio, come to Foreign Park, but don't bring the attitude. Just bring your skills as a receiver. Could work well. Or go to New England. Again, bring your skills, not your attitude. In fact, let that be for every other team that does hire you, because if you act like a petulant child, like an all-star, team's not going to want to work with you. Or go to the Giants, where you and Odell can have your own TV show. Man, those are two giant-sized cathedral egos right there for the taking, but you never know. Good luck, Antonio. I do wish you a lot of the best. I think you are an awesome receiver. It's just your attitude is a little at times off-putting, but you do have the ability to catch the ball. As for the Raiders, one of their questions in the offseason besides the location for 2019 was a general manager. Well, at least they got one of those solved. Mike Mayock, who has been known as a draft guru for the NFL Network, is now the new general manager for the Oakland Raiders, working in tandem with John Gruden, and the fact that he's got 5 first-round picks in the next 2 years coming to him, and the 4th most projected cap space, that is a beaut right there. As for the Hall of Fame class, the finalists have been announced. Tony Gonzalez, Isaac Bruce, Edgerrin James, Ed Reed, Steve Atwater, Champ Bailey, Ty Law, John Lynch, Tony Baselli, Steve Hutchinson, Alan Faneca, Kevin Moab, Richard Seymour, Don Coryell, Tom Flores, of course, Brian Flores' father, I believe. And then in the contributors wing, Pat Bowlen, the current owner of the Denver Broncos since 1984. Gil Brandt, vice president player personnel with the Cowboys from 60 to 88, as well as a contributor at NFL.com since 1995. And the senior finalist is Johnny Robinson, safety with the Dallas Texans and the Kansas City Chiefs from 1960 to 1971. The finalists, of course, the final members, anywhere between 4 to 8, will be announced at the annual NFL award ceremony, which takes place the night before Super Bowl 53, February 2nd in Atlanta, Georgia, probably on CBS. I don't know who the host will be. I would love to be the host, but I'm not a famous comedian or anything. But nonetheless, if I had my pick, I would say Edgerrin James, Tony Gonzalez should definitely get in, Don Coryell, who revolutionized the air raid. I would definitely even say Tony Baselli for his years of service with the Jaguars, including their first ever postseason appearance in '99 with Tom Coughlin. Ed Reed, probably one of the nastiest safeties ever to lace up a pair of boots and a pair of cleats. Alan Faneca, part of several Super Bowl winning championships with the Steelers. Just to name a few. Let's see how they do it. Congratulations to every person that is a finalist. Just making it to that point is great, but to get into that fabled hall in Canton, Ohio, with your buff right there for generations to come, that is truly the ultimate prize, and somebody will get their golden jacket. All right, let's go from that to the week that was Week 17, the final week of the 2018 NFL season, starting in the Emerald City, the Cardinals, who have won 5 out of the last 6 in Arizona, looking to make it 6 out of the last 7, and hurt the Seahawks in terms of getting that number 5 seed. Well, Sebastian Janikowski on the final play of the game gets the game-winning 33-yard field goal. The Seahawks win 27-24, cementing number 5, while the Cardinals lost, guaranteed the number 1 overall pick, so they're on the clock for 2019. Any suggestions? A guy named Nick Bosa from Ohio State comes to mind. Yeah, who knows if he's not selfish and will actually sign his contract faster than his brother did. Any Hoosers, the Falcons Buccaneers battle of the NFC South teams that are not making the playoffs this year. And Matt Ryan, of course, leads a game-winning drive, including getting a 5-yard pass, TD pass to Mohamed Sanu, 49-yard from Matt Bryant. Tevin Coleman, 23-yard run. Goes 31-44 with an interception, unfortunately, on the day. But overall, Matt Ryan has first career touchdown reception for 378 yards and a 2-touchdown performance. Leads the final drive. Matt Bryant gets the game-winning 37-yarder as time expires. They win 37-34 over the Buccaneers. Buccaneers, of course, fired Dirk Cutter hours after the game. Jameis Winston's future is sort of in doubt with the team. He's got a $20 million cap hit from his rookie contract. Who knows if he'll be on the team next year. Browns-Ravens, huge game for both squads. 2 rushing touchdowns on the day for Lamar Jackson. They ended up winning 26-24, but the game did get close with Jarvis Landry getting the touchdown that made it 26-24 Ravens over the Browns. The Ravens went 3 and out, and the Browns got the ball at the final got the ball. And with about a minute on this insane drive, 19-yard completion from Baker Mayfield to Brashad Perriman, who was the former Ravens prospect. Then the 16-yard to Jarvis Landry, who was acquired in the offseason from the Dolphins, to the Baltimore 39 with about a minute 20 to go. 3 consecutive incompletions by Baker Mayfield. And the game-ending sealing interception by C.J. Mosley, icing the game. Ravens win 26-24, win the AFC North Championship, ending the 3-year drought, and thus ending Pittsburgh's season. Dolphins, Bills, 2 teams in the AFC East with nothing on the line for the postseason. And Josh Allen, the rookie out of Wyoming, has probably a great year-ending performance. 5 total touchdowns, 3 passing, 2 on the ground, leading them to a 42-17 shellacking of the Dolphins. It was the final game in the 13-year career of defensive tackle Kyle Williams for the Buffalo Bills. Had a tackle for a loss and his first career reception, left with a minute 16 to the chance of thank you, Kyle. And we at the Blitz Zone wish you and your family the best of luck in your future endeavors. You, sir, are the epitome of a loyal player, and I have so much respect for you. Panthers looking to end their 7-game losing skid, going to the home of the number 1 seeded NFC South champion New Orleans Saints with nothing to play for. Teddy Bridgewater's first start since 2015. Can't do anything with it. 14-22, 122 yards. Yes, gets touchdown garbage time. But the Panthers, with their 3rd quarterback in as many weeks, Kyle Allen, leads them to a 33-14 victory. At least keeping Ron Rivera's job for next season. He'll probably be the number 1 hot-seated candidate in 2019 if things don't go his way. Bears, Vikings, much on the line. Of course, though, unfortunately, the Vikings go 3 and out on 3 of their first 4 possessions, end up losing 24-10 to the Bears, including 109 rushing yard, 2 touchdown on the ground performance by Jordan Howard of the Bears. Bengals, Steelers, a lot in the line right here. Of course, the game-winning field goal from 35 yards from Matt McCrane for the Steelers. They beat the Bengals 16-13, despite the Bengals 10-3 lead they had at the half. And after the game, Steelers Nation and the players stayed at Heinz Field to watch the conclusion of the Ravens-Browns game, and we all know the result. Once the interception by Baker Mayfield happened, that was it. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention Baker Mayfield. Congratulations. He had his 27th touchdown of the season. New record for rookies. Possibly Rookie of the Year for offense. Now, as for the Steelers, losing 4 out of their last 5 with second-half leads, including the game against the Chargers. That's what contributed to their season. And, of course, the 4th down punt that didn't work out against the Saints, and that's what led to the season, unfortunately, ending the way that it did. And now, with a lot of questions, and the Killer Bees are probably dead. It's going to be a whole new era for Steeler Nation. Cowboys, Giants. Dak Prescott leads a game-winning 32-yard touchdown, fourth down pass to, of course, Cole Beasley with his knees inbound. 2-point conversion, Michael Gallup. They beat the Giants 36-35. The best thing about the Giants season was Saquon Barkley, 2,000 scrimmage yards, only the third person to do it, joining Eric Dickerson, who still holds the record with over 2,200 yards from scrimmage, and Edgerrin James, over 2,100 scrimmage yards in his first season, 1999. Saquon, you are a king amongst kings when it comes to your ability to play. I cannot wait to see what you do in 2019 for this Giants organization. You, sir, awesome. Paragon, the man. Chargers, Broncos. Phillip Rivers, of course, getting the 12th victory of the year in this outstanding Chargers season, winning 6 straight on the road to finish 7-1 and beating the Denver Broncos 23-9, the same Broncos team that upsetted the Chargers earlier this year, 23-22, with the game-winning field goal. This time around, Chargers are able to go in Denver's house and get a victory. Lions. As for the Broncos, we all know Vance Joseph got fired. Lions, Packers, nothing on the line for either of these NFC North teams, except for the Lions to have their second consecutive year of sweeping the Packers, and they do so. Matt Prater gets an 8-yard fake field goal try. It's an 8-yard pass on a fake field goal try to Levine Toilolo. They beat the Packers 31-0 in embarrassing fashion, by the way. And unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers got concussed, didn't play the rest of the game. Jaguars, Texans. Yeah, Texans beat the Jaguars 20-3, winning the AFC South Championship, and for the 5th time in their franchise. And for the Jaguars, Dave Caldwell, Tom Coughlin, even Doug Maroney will be returning. Owner Shad Khan said that after the game. They're going to also be on the hot seat in 2019. Raiders, of course, visiting the Chiefs, get demolished 35-3, including the 50th touchdown of the year by Patrick Mahomes. All games in the AFC, the road to Super Bowl 53 in the AFC goes through Arrowhead Stadium. That's not an easy place to play in. Rams, of course, destroyed the 49ers 48-32, though George Kittle has the single-season record for tight ends for the 49ers. Other than that, it was not that great of a year for 49ers Nation other than George Kittle. And for the Rams to win the second overall seed, congratulations right there. And a 6-game sweep of the NFC West. Jets, Patriots. Tom Brady's 3 first-half touchdown passes. And Sam Darnold, unfortunately, not having a fumble return for a touchdown by Kyle Van Noy. They lose 38-3. Bowles gets fired after the game. The Eagles, Redskins, and of course the Eagles go up against the 4th quarterback for the Redskins, and they demolish them 24-0. Foles, of course, yet again does his job. He did get hurt in the game for a bit. Nate Sudfeld had to come in, but Foles tied Phillip Rivers' record of 25 consecutive passes and threw 2 touchdowns on the day. So the Eagles are in the playoffs. Colts, Titans. This was the final game, game 256 of the regular season in Music City. Andrew Luck has he plays some beautiful music. It was almost like watching Beethoven's, Beethoven, of course, Ode to Joy, and unbelievable. Luck remains perfect, goes now 11-0 against the Titans, 285 yards, 3 touchdowns on the day to cement the Colts' number 6 spot in the AFC playoff picture. And that is all 16 games of of Week 17 of the 2018 regular season. Now, the postseason. What we've all been waiting for. Wild Card Round Weekend. We're going to start on Saturday, 4:35. ABC, ESPN. You're probably going to have Jason Witten calling that game, along with his compatriots from Monday Night Football. A battle of the AFC South for the 3rd time this year. Colts visiting the Indianapolis Colts, visiting the Houston Texans. Each team this year won the road team won in each game this year. So does that mean the Colts are going to go into Houston, Energy Stadium, in a very tough environment, and win this game. This was the team that won 9 out of their final 10 games. And what you have to love about this team, despite the mistake that Frank Reich made in his first year, week 4, going for it on 4th and 4 from their own 43, and then 2 plays later, the Texans win with the game-winning field goal 37-34, and that pretty much sparked that 9-game winning streak for the Texans. What you got to love about this team is when they got knocked down, just like the Chumbawamba song, they got back up again. They were never going to be kept down. And they won 9 out of their last 10. And what was part of that was the fact that the offensive line protected Andrew Luck, gave him enough time in the pocket. You had, of course, T.Y. Hilton, masterful job at receiver. It's going to be fun watching him going up against Jonathan Joseph. That's probably going to be the premier matchup to look for, which means Dontrell Inman is going to have to make a big impact because he had a very little, if anything, back in week 4. This could be his game, as well as Chester Rogers, who was responsible 2 weeks ago for the game-winning touchdown against the Giants. But you better look. But the other thing to look for in this game, the Colts defense going up against Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is great, but his offensive line has been horrible. They've given up 56 sacks on the year to this guy, yet he's still talking about getting back up again over and over, and he still is able to manage and will his team to victory. And the other thing to look for, too, J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney against that Colts O-line. So that's going to be a premier matchup as well. Therefore, I'm going with the Colts on the road for the upset victory. I'll give you my reasons. As I mentioned about the Colts defense, I think they're going to be able to contain Watt in the pocket. They're going to have to double down on DeAndre Hopkins, which is no easy feat whatsoever. But I think the Colts are going to be able to have the formula to do that and force them to try and run. That's where the Colts are going to come in. They're going to dominate the time possession. They're going to take Energy Stadium out of the equation. I'm going with the Colts for the upset victory. Then finally, Saturday night, we got the Seahawks visiting the Cowboys. And that game will be on Fox with Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. And Aaron Andrews calling the game for Fox. The last time these two teams played each other, the Seahawks beat the Cowboys in the Emerald City 24-13. And the Cowboys committed 3 turnovers in that game. They're going to have to really wise up. They went 4-5. No, they went 3-5, and yet acquiring Amari Cooper revolutionized the offense, took a lot of the pressure off of Cole Beasley, and put it on Cooper, and it opened up the playbook for Prescott. Ezekiel Elliott, for the second time in 3 years, leading the league in rushing yards, winning the rushing title. Held down Week 17's game against the Giants. This time, he's going to be fresh, ready to go, as well as some of the offensive line players. Therefore, I got the Cowboys winning this. Reason being, the Seahawks O-line, just like the Texans, very vulnerable. Giving up sacks on the day. Yes, they open up the running lanes for Chris Carson, who was the first 1,000-yard rusher in 4 years. Otherwise, it's Dwayne Brown, who honestly I think is a liability in protecting Wilson, and that's why Leighton Vander Esch is going to have a good game, as well as Jalen Smith. Those two youngins on the Cowboys D-line are part of the reason why they were successful this year. But I'm not going to discount the Seahawks because they play very well, especially with Russell Wilson's number 1 target, Tyler Lockett. The Cowboys want to win as well. They better come up with a plan to stop him, and I think they will. Give me the Cowboys in Jerry World to win. And let's not forget, the last time these two teams played each other in the postseason, 2006, the famous Tony Romo game in which he was the holder of the field goal try and botched it. What would have been the game-winning field goal for the Cowboys. Hopefully history is not doomed to repeat itself. I don't think it will. Again, give me the Cowboys. Next game right here, and I really got to find a Cowboys flag at some point. The next game, Chargers, Ravens, Sunday, 1 o'clock, CBS. Speaking of Tony Romo, he'll be calling this game right here along with Jim Nantz and Tracy Wolfson on CBS. It's really going to be a fun game to look at. This is the rematch. 15 days ago, 22-10, the Ravens won over the Chargers on the road. In fact, it was the first 200-yard passing performance for Lamar Jackson in that game, when he came into the game averaging just 170 yards passing a game at that point in time. And the Tavon Young fumble 6 recovery. Chargers, are looking to get their first postseason win since 2009. And also in that game, it was the 68-yard touchdown reception to Mark Andrew, the tight end for the Ravens. Otherwise, Chargers had this game at some points, made some good catches, but unfortunately turned over or were negated by really badly timed penalties. And that's what the Chargers have to do if they want to win on the road. A 12-4 team had them travel to play the Ravens. The Ravens, basically one of the toughest, stingiest defenses in the league this year. A team that, in some points, gave up no more than 17 points. And including giving up only 10 to the Chargers. Their ability to stifle people with running the ball, moving the chains, controlling the time possession when you got Lamar Jackson, the dual threat quarterback, Gus Edwards, another 100-yard rusher, and then Kenneth Dixon. Trying to contain the three of them is going to have to be paramount for the Chargers if they want to emerge victorious in this game. And something tells me that will not be the case. I think the Ravens will not only control the time possession, but they're going to force some turnovers on Phil Rivers. And unfortunately, I don't think Phil Rivers will ever this is a game where the window will close on him, unfortunately. Give me the Ravens to win in that game. Now, the final game of Wild Card Weekend, Sunday, 4:40 on NBC. The Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Chicago Bears. Remember the Fog Bowl when these two teams played each other in the postseason? Well, this game that will have nothing on this particular contest. This is probably one of the most intriguing games of the week. You got two teams who practically run the same West Coast style offense. You have two Andy Reid guys playing against each other. Doug Peterson for the Eagles. Matt Nagy for the Bears. Both guys have basically turned their organizations around. I think the most impressive still is with the Bears for the fact that they were a last-place team the last 4 years, and then to finally win their first championship, the division title in 8 years. If that doesn't get Matt Nagy the Coach of the Year award, I don't know what will. You have two quarterbacks in their prime, and Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky with a lot of pressure on their shoulders. This is Trubisky's playoff debut, just like Lamar Jackson, his playoff debut for the Ravens. This week, in this particular contest, Trubisky's making his postseason debut, while Nick Foles, this is not his first rodeo in the postseason. The fact that this is the first time they have to be a road team every inch of the way, while they were a home team last year. Big difference. But the thing about Nick Foles, in games in which he has to replace Wentz, he's been 4-1 this season, replacing him. And 9-2 as a starter since 2017, including the playoffs. Does he have another Super Bowl run in him? But yet you're going up against the team that limited teams to 17.7 points a game. A team that basically has the likes of Khalil Mack, who led the Bears with 12.5 sacks. In the first 4 games alone, he had a sack, a fumble recovery, and a quarterback hit. And at Soldier Field, you look at what he had out of those 12.5, 8.5 of his sacks took place at Soldier Field, with 4 forced fumbles and a fumble recovery. Then you got to deal with Danny Trevathan. Then if Eddie Jackson is ready to go, you got to deal with him who had 6 interceptions on the year. Roquan Smith, one of the best Rookie of the Year candidates. And Akeem Hicks, who's a nightmare when you have to, besides Khalil Mack. So this is where the Eagles O-line is going to have to come to play this week in order for Foles and the Eagles to emerge victorious. For the Bears, for them to win, just have Cohen and Howard, Tara Cohen and Jordan Howard, just keep moving the chains, controlling the time possession, running the ball, and then maybe what we're going to probably see, I'm thinking 3 Philly specials between both teams. That's a must. And by the way, it happened this year. You look at the Bears, they did it in the Giants game when Tara Cohen got the touchdown, got his first career touchdown pass against them. It's going to happen at some point. I'm predicting 3 is going to take place in that game. It's practically the same offenses going up against each other. But at the end of the day, Khalil Mack, a once-in-a-lifetime generational type of pass rusher who, again, is in the same company as the refrigerator, Perry, as Brian Urlacher and Dick Butkus and all the great defensive players that have donned, who have been a member of the Monsters of the Midway. He's going to be the monster that keeps on coming, utterly relentless for Nick Foles. That's why I got the Chicago Bears winning this week. And those are all my picks for the wild card round weekend. As I mentioned, the teams that are off this week, the Chiefs are off this week with the number 1 overall seed and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Then the number 2, New England Patriots. So they'll wait the winners of the AFC wild card games, while the New Orleans Saints, the number 1 seed in the NFC, home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and the number 2 LA Rams they're going to be awaiting the winners of the NFC wildcard games. And coming up on Sunday night, award season gets kicked off with the 76th Annual Golden Globe Awards, 8 o'clock. The big films to keep your eye out on, Roma, which I think might win Best Foreign Film. I think Christian Bale is going to pull out the Best Actor award in the comedy or musical with his stunning performance as Dick Cheney in Vice. I'm thinking we're going to probably see Regina King for If Beale Street Could Talk, winning Best Supporting Actress, and the song Shallow from A Star Is Born. And I wouldn't be shocked to see Lady Gaga win Best Actress either. And overall, it's going to be a great show. Look for Andy Samberg and Sandra Oh hosting it on NBC, and gets off 8 o'clock right after the Eagles and Bears game for the wild card round. All right. So for all the hardworking men and women at CTV, for Mr. Kenny Graham behind the booth doing what he does best, I'm Eric Rosen. I want to wish you all the happiest of 2019. I'll see you next week for the divisional round edition of the Blitz Zone here on CTV. Good night. Peace and love. Peace and love, Staten Island.